Further breakouts were cancelled ahead of the Jubilee break. Holiday giant TUI is cancelling further breakouts as air passengers face ongoing dislocation ahead of the Jubilee bank vacation weekend. TUI will cancel 6 breakouts a day until the end of June, affecting around 000 trippers in all. Other airlines have also cancelled breakouts, as around 2 million people prepare to fly over the coming many days. One family, whose flight was cancelled with lower than 2 days' notice, said their children were devastated. Joanna Chandramani said she, her hubby and their 7-time-old binary girls had been set to fly to Turkey on Wednesday, but she got a textbook on Monday evening telling her their vacation was cancelled. She said TUI had now offered them validations, but the family didn't want to book with them, so were flying with Jet2 to Mallorca rather. "We've lost all faith in TUI," she added. TUI said guests affected by cancellations would admit a full refund for their leaves as well as a redundant gesture of goodwill. The company said the cancellations represented about 4 of its breakouts. TUI said it understood the cancellations would be disappointing but added, "We believe this is necessary to give stability and a better client service at Manchester Airport." Thousands of passengers across the UK have had their breakouts cancelled or faced detainments at airfields when checking in and collecting baggage as the half-term break began. Before the COVID epidemic, airfields and airlines across Great Britain employed around 000 people, according to Airlines UK. Still, since also thousands of jobs have been cut, including around 000 for UK Airlines alone, due to the restrictions on the transnational trips. The assiduity has plotted to manage with a swell in pamphlets as demand picked up again, with numerous chancing it delicate to retain and train new staff quick enough. Prospect, the union which represents staff across air business control and aeronautics engineering, advised that effects could get worse before they get better. The Airport Operators Association, which represents the assiduity, said big reclamation juggernauts had been underway since before the launch of this time and fresh staff were now being stationed. It said most passengers were getting through security easily and the association would continue to work with the government to be ready for the summer. Around 000 breakouts are set to leave the UK between Thursday and Sunday, according to aeronautics analytics firm Cirium. Chancellor Rishi Sunak said the government was working with the trip assiduity to attack the problems. "We put in place billions of pounds of support for the trip assiduity, in particular during the epidemic," he said. "Right now there are exchanges passing between the assiduity and ministers to make sure dislocation can be eased." But Gary Graham, Deputy General Clerk of the Prospect Union, said the government point to the redundancy scheme but ignores that it ended well before the maturity of transnational restrictions on the trip came to an end. Trade unions say airlines are floundering to retain staff because jobs in the assiduity aren't well paid or secure enough and training new staff takes time. As a result, the problems are likely to continue for some time. Absolute chaos. Michael Turner, a nanny from Shoreham, is presently on his 3rd attempt to go on vacation with his family to Tenerife. Due to flying from Gatwick last Thursday, Mr. Turner was told his EasyJet flight had been cancelled 20 twinkles before departure. He booked a TUI flight which was all that was available and said he endured absolute chaos in the departure Chesterfield at Manchester Airport. After boarding the aeroplane, Mr. Turner said its airman called the police as no bone was suitable to get off for 3 hours. The family was also attended to collect their baggage and put on a settee without being told where they were going and are now staying to be taken back to the field for a flight this evening. Manchester Airport said TUI and Swissport, which provides ground services similar to baggage running, are passing temporary staff dearths, in common with other aeronautics and trip companies. A prophet for Swissport apologized for its part in any dislocation, adding that the return of demand for breakouts was aggravating resource challenges across the aeronautics assiduity. A number of other airfields reported high business on Tuesday. Glasgow Airport said ranges at security were longer than usual in the morning, though passengers moved through at a steady pace. A prophet said the field was busier than it has been for further than 2 times but prompted people not to arrive beforehand. At Edinburgh Airport some passengers had to stay outside the terminal structure to check in luggage. Meanwhile, Stansted is vaticinating 000 passengers a day over the coming week. There were also long delays for Eurostar train services at London St Pancras Station, with ranges extending outside the structure. Eurostar said one train was taken out of service before due to a specialized fault, leading to detainments of 30 to 60 twinkles. A spokesman said ranges were moving and the staff was working hard to ensure check heft was as smooth as possible. Meanwhile, the RAC predicts motorists will make 19.5 million passages by auto over the Jubilee Bank vacation weekend, potentially congesting the roads. The motoring group said Friday is anticipated to be the busiest day, with the M25 cast to be a hotspot. Southbound M5, A303, and A720 Edinburgh Megacity Bypass are all also being flagged as roads to watch for implicit detainments, with transport experts INRIX prognosticating business conditions could be worst in the mornings of the bank leaves. INRIX is advising motorists to start their peregrinations as beforehand as possible or stay until laterally in the day to avoid any logjams. EasyJet cancels 80 breakouts as trip dislocation continues. Airlines including EasyJet and Wizz Air have cancelled dozens of breakouts as UK air trip dislocation continues. EasyJet said it had cut 80 breakouts on Sunday, and apologised to guests for the dislocation. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps told the BBC the aeronautics assiduity cut too numerous jobs during the coronavirus epidemic and it mustn't oversell breakouts. He said he wanted airlines to automatically compensate passengers. Passengers have faced a raft of UK flight cancellations causing dislocations for numerous families on half-term leaves. 10-time-old Noah and his young family Bo will not be in the academy on Monday morning after a cancelled EasyJet flight left their family stranded in Dalian, Turkey. Their mama, Emma, a hairstylist, has had to cancel guests by textbook. The family of 6, including Emma's parents, spent 10 hours on Saturday night at the field staying to see if they would be suitable to fly out as planned, before eventually being kissed back to the hostel at 4:30 a.m. EasyJet offered them a flight on Thursday to Liverpool, but their auto is situated at Gatwick. The EasyJet app literally says rearrange your flight or get a refund, says Father Scott. So we have just spent £000 on a flight home here after night. Flying to Stansted. EasyJet said it had cancelled about 80 breakouts on Sunday due to the ongoing grueling operating terrain. We're veritably sorry and completely understand the dislocation this will have caused for our guests, the airline said, adding it was doing everything possible to get passengers to their destinations. It said it had extended its client service opening hours from 07:00 to 2300 and was helping those affected discover hostel accommodation. Overselling. Mr. Shapps told BBC One's Sunday morning programme that Labour dearths were behind the trip dislocation, performing in airlines chancing it delicate to get people on board. When someone has bought a ticket for a flight, they have every right to anticipate that flight will take off, and not find that flight has been cancelled, he said. Airlines should be conservative about not overselling those breakouts, and, where there are problems they need to fix them snappily. He said the government had handed £8 billion of support to the sector during the epidemic, along with redundancy support, so opinions to cut staff had been made by the assiduity. Mr. Shapps added that airlines had cut too deep during the coronavirus epidemic. Easily the airlines have been taken by surprise by the way in which people have returned to travel after 2 times of being locked down, he said. He added that he wanted a proper duty for passengers so they could get quick and straightforward compensation or be put on other breakouts. Mr. Shapps said he wanted an analogous system to delay repay train passenger refunds where it's a robotic process. Still, he again rejected the idea of easing aeronautics labor dearths by relaxing immigration conditions. Airlines have called on the government to issue special immigration visas to allow them to retain overseas workers in the short term, as was done for the haulage and meat processing diligence. That idea was backed by London's Labour Mayor Sadiq Khan, who said field jobs should be opened up to people from the European Union. This is tone foisted by the government. This is about Brexit plus COVID. What we do not want is this spring misery turned into summer misery, he said. Still, Mr. Shapps said after the government eased immigration rules in the haulage assiduity, only 27 lorry motorists had come over from the European Union to help ease the habitual deficit, which rather had been soothed by government measures. Sunday dislocation. Gatwick Airport said that 52 departures and 30 advents were cancelled on Sunday. The majority was EasyJet breakouts, but British Airways, Wizz Air, and Vueling were also affected. Breakouts from Barcelona, Nice, Madrid, Belfast, Geneva, Corfu, Faro in Portugal and Glasgow were among those cancelled. A Gatwick prophet said the field was operating typically but would be busy with 830 breakouts. Trip expert Simon Calder said that on a typical day you would anticipate seeing half a dozen breakouts being cancelled to and from the UK, with those spread over all airlines. He said in addition about 000 passengers heading for Luton on Sunday had been diverted after a power failure affected air business control systems. British Airways declined to note. Wizz Air issued a statement saying it was doing as much as it could to help passengers reach their destinations. It said several effects were causing functional insecurity in the trip assiduity, including staff dearths within air business control, ground operations and baggage running, security, and across airfields. It offered guests affected its sincere justifications and said they would be offered indispensable breakouts with Wizz Air, a full refund or 120 in airline credit, which is aimed to reuse within 1 week.